there. Thank you for tuning in. This is Dhruti Shah, and welcome to the Resilient Entrepreneur podcast, where every month I bring to you the story of an entrepreneur who is proven to be unstoppable because they're resilient. This podcast is a culmination of my own story of resilience. As someone who taught herself early on to be mentally tough, I came to realize that success stories are great to remain motivated, but true learning happens when you fail, you stumble, you reflect, and you rise. This podcast is an attempt to bring to you, to my listeners, the situations that test your nerves, your grit, and your resilience. If you listen closely, you will hear the entrepreneurs reflect. And who knows, you may have some light bulb moments yourself. The Resilient Entrepreneur is brought to you by C2C OD, a firm that specializes in bringing people and strategy together. And welcome to the brand new season of the Resilient Entrepreneur podcast. This new season is dedicated to social entrepreneurs who are not just grappling the challenges of a new startup, but are also in the business of changing mindsets and impacting lives. With that, let's meet my guest today. Coming right up. So today I am thrilled to have Mathilda De Silva, the visionary CEO and founder of Ocean Purpose Project, with us. Known as The Voice from her TV and radio career, Mathilda is a pioneering force in ocean conservation. Her personal battle with autoimmune conditions triggered by ocean pollution inspired her to create Ocean Purpose Project in 2020. Under her leadership, Ocean Purpose Project has become an award-winning, internationally recognized organization, driving innovation in plastic waste conversion, sustainable bioplastics, and community engagement. Mathilda's journey from corporate roles across various industries to leading groundbreaking environmental initiatives alongside her mother and Chief Operating Officer Margaret D'Cruz is a testament to resilience, dedication, and the power of family collaboration. Without further delay, let's dive into the conversation with Mathilda and hear how she is making a real impact through her work. Hey, Mathilda, thank you so much and welcome to the Resilient Entrepreneur podcast. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Thank you so much, Dhruti. Lovely to meet you as well.
Yeah, and Mathilda, I read about the Ocean Project and I was fascinated by what you do. So what has been your journey like so far?
My goodness, Dhruti, how much time have you got? This is a long story with a lot of dramatic twists and turns.
Sure.
Where shall I begin? Where would you like me to begin?
Let's begin from, how has it been like? Your journey as an entrepreneur, I think, would be most relevant. So where do you think the listeners would benefit from that sense?
To be honest, I've always been an entrepreneur. So even like with the companies that I've worked at, I was at the national broadcaster, I was a TV producer, and then I became a radio DJ, and then I also became the head of community for MediaCorp, for StarHub. I worked at DBS as well. So I've always been the person that the boss goes, okay, we have a terrible, difficult, challenging task. Nobody wants to step forward. Everybody is just kind of, this is a job for Mathilda De Silva. And I found that happen so many times in my career, whether it's starting, building up what community management is in social media, whether that's, creating an influencer agency, whether that's going off and creating the first marketing campaigns launched by customers themselves, or even, talking about how, we're mobilizing social enterprises around the region for a bank, and how we can actually create like a network that helps each other. So those are things that I've always been doing with companies. And with Ocean Purpose Project, it was really about taking that entrepreneurship skill that I had and turning it into entrepreneurship. But unfortunately, the reason to start Ocean Purpose Project began out of a crisis. So I used to, on top of that fantastic day job that I had, I was
Yeah.
also a singer, so I also was on Singapore Idol. So people
Wow.
watching might find me familiar there. But,
Nice.
I was also a national dragon boater for Singapore. And in one particular race, I was exposed to polluted water in the Philippines for just 3 days
Okay.
that caused me to develop a massive amount of autoimmune conditions. So not only, suddenly after 3 days and being a national athlete, suddenly within like a few months, I've developed vitiligo. So I'm wearing heavy makeup now. I have white patches all over my skin. My hair turned all white, so I dye it black again. My eyebrows, eyelashes. I developed muscular spasms, so I couldn't control the use of my limbs. I lost my voice for 6 months. So as somebody that is in media, I'm sure you would understand that as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
To lose your voice, to lose your looks, your ability to speak or even to stand is something that is like, that's the death of your career.
Oh, my goodness.
And this is again where, I thought that I was just, maybe I felt sick, but it was a mystery. I didn't understand what was happening to me until news was revealed that the location that I was in Boracay in the Philippines, the president of Philippines was going to close this island for 6 to 7 months, I think 6 to 8 months, because they discovered they were pumping raw sewage, untreated chemicals, all of the touristic waste of that island was going straight into the touristic beaches where me and my fellow teammates were. And this is again where, it was a big reality check for me. I'm
Yeah.
not used to being a victim
Yeah.
or even thinking of myself as one.
Right.
But I had just realized that in 2018, I was actually a victim of water pollution. Again, it's a situation that I didn't wish upon myself. I mean, I was there representing my country in a
Yeah.
race. Um, you know, what am I supposed to do with this, right? And, again, this is not one of those stories where, a wonderful, caring, thoughtful, loving person then decided to, go off and find a sense of purpose and, heroism. That's exactly not me at all. All of my friends will tell you that's not Matilda. I'm highly irritable. I have no patience at all. A typical TV producer, right? I'm gotta get to point A to point B real quick. And you
Yeah.
throw something on me like this where my body is not listening to me and I cannot control what my body is doing. It really throws me and many other people affected by ocean pollution into a dark place.
Of
That's the
course.
reason why Ocean Purpose Project started. It's the word purpose is baked into the company name and the logo itself, but
Yeah.
it's also the next step, which is to say, as a social enterprise, I wanted to make sure that I'm not just a charity talking about why this happened to me. Plastic pollution or ocean pollution is so bad. Yeah, let's do a campaign, let's raise awareness. That was not what I wanted to do at all. I
Yeah.
wanted to do something that was centered around solutioning and turning ocean pollution into solutions. And I really felt that everything that I had learned to do as a media person, as a broadcaster, that was great in terms of me communicating the message, but I had to get deeper in terms of understanding what caused what happened to me in Boracay from happening. How do we prevent or create solutions to prevent that? How do we also prevent or create solutions around ocean plastics pollution and
Yeah.
many other forms of pollution? And that's really where the company was born.
Right. And oh my God, what a story, because it just hits you, right? Because you are this fast-paced, climbing up the corporate ladder, and then this happens, right? And suddenly it's like a huge pause in front of you, which forces you to reflect, which kind of, nudges you to take action. And I'm so glad that you did not just stop at a thinking level, but you actually did something about it. You actually took action. And I think your work that you've done, you have a high bias for action. Clearly, that's coming through. And you wanted to do something practical, something that I think can outlive you in terms of the solution that you're providing. So, Matilda, I'm sure, the road has not been easy. You said it was 2018 when you became the victim of water pollution. We are in 2024 today, and I'm sure it's not been an easy path. What were some of the challenges that you faced as you started this?
I think right at the beginning when we incorporated the company. So we were already working on ocean purpose projects in 2018. But
Right.
then I said, okay, I'm going to quit my job, my great job at DBS, and I'm
Yeah.
going to start my own social enterprise in 2020 because 2020 is the year for sustainability. So I quit a great job at DBS, and I'm still kicking myself about that till today sometimes. We started Ocean Purpose Project on the 3rd of March 2020, and then whole world went into COVID lockdown.
Of course.
So first thing I did was go to DBS and say, I made a mistake. Please take me back. I don't know what I was thinking. This is total nonsense. They, take me back. And they were like, yeah, no, we are actually dealing with our own crisis, right? Like, because they were also having cases coming up. To be honest with you, we started where in Singapore, you were not even allowed to go on the sands of the beach. How do you do ocean conservation?
Yeah.
We had 200 clients in the start of 2020. The moment that all COVID restrictions came into place, we lost 199 clients. Only one client stayed with us. So this is again where, if you want to talk about resilience or a masterclass in resilience, to be honest, nothing quite buckles your knees as much as your health going, finances, a global crisis where the whole world is locked up at home.
Yeah.
And then trying to figure out how do you create like an ocean conservation business. I think like it was the perfect storm of everything that can go wrong, right? In like one interstellar moment in human history for your business. Yeah, literally that's how this business began. And
Wow.
I think, to be honest with you, I had a lot more hair before this. Like, it's been it's been a hell of a journey. One thing that has really kept us going is, the staff who work with us. We have over 97% women that work with us. We have persons with disabilities, who work with us in multiple different kinds of contracts. We also have caregivers, older persons. In fact, my plastic to hydrogen chief engineer is 80 years old. Our chief operating officer is 72. This is again where we have such an amazing array of diversity in terms of our staff. Add to that the level of professionalism that they bring to work. And I really, looked at that and I said to myself, so for example, in the early days of COVID, we had one beautiful, young girl as an intern, right? And she was basically like, why don't we get our beach cleanup volunteers, to maybe help pack some food for migrant workers, in the dormitories, because they've locked them up in the dormitories for COVID. They don't have proper vegetables and food. And of course, there's nobody to cook for them because the other migrant workers are also, in the dorms. Maybe we can redirect our efforts there. And that little statement, that little bit of hope, even for us going like, okay, that's got nothing to do with ocean conservation, but let's do it. And then she was like, why don't we go and ask people to donate soap or things? These things of our staff saying, yeah, we are in a difficult situation. Why don't we try and find ways to help others or help the community in the time of need? This project that she worked on for about 6 months, that, she got all of us and me as well involved.
Yeah.
We sent 220,000 meals to dormitories around Singapore and 7,000 kits of soap and shampoo to these workers, as well as clothing items and things. So I think one of the things I've come to realize is that you will never, as an entrepreneur, be in a situation where there's no crisis. It's just how much, right, are you dealing with? I will say that 2020 is like the year that really tested me and a lot of my peers who have run our own businesses to the maximum. I don't wish that on anybody. But what I do realize is that within our staff, there are these little sparks and flames of hope, that also help us to realize that just as we are suffering, there are many others who are also suffering. There might be a sense of purpose in us going off and and helping to meet the need for the country at the time. And this is where till today, I still keep those text messages from some of the workers in the dormitory who messaged in Tamil and in Bangladeshi, and said understand you are working for Ocean, God bless you, ma'am. That thank you so much for your staff. Thank you for doing all of this. hopefully your company, your mission, all of this that you are doing, the good that you do will come back to you. Again, there's no money in all of this. There's no glory in it. I do believe that like when we are working in social entrepreneurship, whatever field we're in, the first thing that we really need to do is to be human.
Yeah.
As a victim of pollution, the first thing that I also need to understand is like, how other victims are living and how they are dealing with things. And then from there, right, we start to map out exactly like, how our business comes about. So in terms of challenges, there's so many. And, one of the key reasons of doing this interview is also to make sure that all entrepreneurs are well aware there will never be a situation where you have no crisis or yeah. If you are in that situation, right, get ready. It's about to come like, woo, like a big wave, right? You're about to drown.
Yeah.
So this is again where it's not about when the crisis hits. It's literally about like, how you respond. And I'll be honest, in the thick of COVID, my mental health wasn't fantastic. It was a struggle on a daily basis, physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
And I think, like with amazing staff and some of the motivational things that come from even the people that we were helping from the community, and even our client, that one client who stuck with us through thick and thin, literally also helped us to pull us out and lead us to where we are at today.
Yeah, and I also hear quite a bit of, you did not give up. You believed in the purpose and you kept going, I believe, as a result of that, right? I'm hearing a lot of things over here, right? Having the team that rallies with you, not just behind you, rallies with you, right? You're in it together. And I'm also hearing as part of the social enterprise bit that it's also about working with empathy and not ignoring what is in front of you, because you helping the migrant workers was solely from a place of empathy, right? That at least we have things happening for us. They're struggling for the meal. Let's do something for them. On a personal level, were there certain things that you did? Because you did mention that during COVID, even your mental health took a turn for the worse, maybe. So were there things that you did at a personal level that helped you cope?
So I'm generally somebody who has how do I put it? I have a big problem with like, like just like looking at all of this motivational posts on Instagram and like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to share that on my IG story. I'm fiercely logic based. So everything that like, that resonates with me has to be something that is very logical, which is quite strange for somebody who is a musician and an artist and a painter, but like, that's something that's important for me. So I was really lucky. One of my friends actually recommended a fantastic business mentor. Although I needed probably like a mental health coach, but um, I went to someone who I trusted to recommend someone that they felt as my friend, they understood like what kind of person I am, who would fit me and who would really be able to help me. And I can 100% assure you, this person and having these weekly check-ins, going through some of the key issues around, setting up the company, cash flow, revenue, ideation, innovation, understanding key issues around sustainability, all of these things. This person actually helped me much more mentally and emotionally than, the business aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because, every single entrepreneur, the key reason for their mental health or their physical health declining is because of a lack of stability of processes or even finances, right, for the business.
Yeah.
That's what is the key thing, right? You
Yeah.
add COVID in the mix, you really like, that's like you're throwing fuel on a fire, right?
A toxic cocktail right there.
It's terrible. So I think if we go backwards and say like, for me, what helped was to have somebody to address that core need and really help me to navigate in a most logic-based manner what are the core issues that this crisis is presenting, to strategize based on how the big companies were kind of like, building in resiliency or like, or trying to pivot. And it was next to impossible to pivot. Every week something was changing, new
Oh, yeah.
rules, and it was like, oh my goodness, like, you start here, then another thing, and then another thing.
Oh, yeah.
And having that person in court side as that business coach, and I would suggest this as even like, now post-COVID, having that kind of mentorship from a trusted person.
Yes.
Right now, I have at least about 3 mentors, all 3 women. All 3 of them are like, industry stalwarts. All 3 of them have totally different styles.
Wow.
And this is again, all 3 of them are also women who are not from Europe or from the US. One is from Africa and GCC. One of them is from Asia, and another one of them is from South America. So that's again where, like, it's very important that I have these different viewpoints. That I'm also mentored by people who genuinely also understand the kind of person that I am, who
Yep.
understand what I'm trying to build. That positive aspect of the mentorship is that it helped to create some stability financially within the company. But then, that also then becomes like, okay, now we can work normal working hour days. Now we can also, do some fun stuff with the staff.
Mm-hmm.
We can build morale, all these things, right, about business and about how we live. They're so closely related. But the second thing that I must warn you about, believe me, I've had like terrible mentors. We had one gentleman who literally like came in claiming that he wanted to be a co-founder by giving me $300 on a monthly basis. We had another gentleman who also claimed that he picked our board of advisors. He put that on LinkedIn. I was like, huh, what? Oh, that's news to me, buddy. With another mentor, I know this sounds terrible that all the bad examples are all men, but
But I
that's
think it's
not
important
usually.
to know, right? And unfortunately, in your case, it just turns out that it's men. And I mean,
That's
it's
right. It just turns out I've had wonderful male mentors in my life as well, and one particular mentor is really, it's frightening because he wanted to spend that week to week, working alongside me on my business, mainly because he was actually already launching a parallel business. He already had funds for that. So this is where he wanted to basically, like, take all of the IP and the USP of what I was doing. It's always a hit and miss. One thing I will say is that in your gut, you know when you are being messed about.
yeah.
In your gut, you know when somebody is not 100%. And it's mentorship and businesses and partnerships are exactly like relationships.
Listening to that inner voice, that gut that you're talking about is supremely important. And I think you're really self-aware. You know what is it that you're looking for. And once you are able to get to that sense of, okay, I know exactly the kind of person I am, and hence I know who are the kind of people I can hang with or who can be my mentor. Some people cannot be challenged easily because they'll go in a shell. But if you are the kind of person who loves to be challenged, then you need to find mentors and advisors or coaches who will do exactly that. Don't go in another direction. So I think just that level of self-awareness as an entrepreneur is also equally important, is what I'm hearing. Um, any advice that you have, Mathilda, for aspiring entrepreneurs or even established entrepreneurs based on your experiences? One advice that you would give?
Okay, I'm going to keep it real, right? When I
Yeah.
go and get my eyebrows threaded in one of the shops in Little India, there's a little printed out image that I see on the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is going to sound completely strange to everybody, but it's a beautiful quote from Mahatma Gandhi. I think the quote is like, the customer is the most important visitor on our premises. They are not dependent on us. We are dependent on them.
Mm-hmm.
They are not the interruption for our work. They are the purpose of our work. They are not the outsider of the business. I like this next part. They are
Yeah.
the part of the business.
Yeah.
We are not doing them a favor by serving them. They are doing us a favor by giving us an opportunity to answer a problem that they have, right? And then from that problem, right, one less problem in the world exists. So I think, this beautiful quote that
Nice.
came, it's literally just a printout on a small little humble business that is doing eyebrow threading, right? These kinds of simple ways of thinking in terms of how we do business. Some of our clients are real superstars. Like, for example, we had that one client that I told you.
Yeah.
During COVID, the big boss made it a point that he knows I love food. So the big boss would make sure that, like, what, he'll be cooking and extra stuff would just suddenly end up on my door. We would get introduced to a lot of people within the shipping and energy industry through them. They would run or commission certain lab tests with us. Some of our other clients, spectacular clients, they understand me as a singer and me as also, working in sustainability. They've introduced me to government agencies. With the clients and some of the government agencies that we work with, in some of the really lowest moments that we've had, for example, the oil spill that occurred just a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
some of them message us, give us, like supportive messages, ask us if we have any solutions that we can, suggest or fast track. Or, some of our clients are also, they physically come down, and they talk to us and they're like, what do you need? How can we help? What can we do? The client doesn't just provide us with our livelihood, to support the company, but because our clients understand what it is that we do. So, for example, at Ocean Purpose Project, we don't just do beach cleanups.
Mm-hmm.
We convert ocean plastics into hydrogen.
Yeah.
So our clients are those who may not be in that space. A lot of them are in the energy space, in the shipping space, in the land transportation space, or, for example, even in the petrochemical and chemical space. One of the key things that they also do with us is that, they sit with us, they go over some of our projects, they tear it apart. They're like, what is this? Why didn't you read this paper? Why don't you look at this? That's so valuable. And we're really lucky that, and I feel that that is actually, like, what matters.
Yeah.
Because if the client doesn't believe in what you do, right, then you're
Yeah.
done. You got no business.
That's it.
That is their ticket of trust, right, that they've put in you. And that ticket of trust is what also helps you to pay the bills, and the families of the people that work with us to also be able to support themselves. So that's again where, I found that that's actually, that base that has helped us to move forward. you know I find that we've had so much of success. Again, our staff are amazing. They've really helped us through, our volunteers and the community. But on a business sense, our clients have really been the ones that are there for us, and putting the word, and building us forward.
Yeah, you actually
Um,
created a community in that sense, right? A community of people who want to make a difference, who believe, and who keep you going, essentially, right?
Definitely. So I think,
Absolutely. And I can see that's where you are really drawing your energy from, right? The support and the commitment that your customers, your clients have towards you and your purpose, like overall Ocean Purpose Project. I think that's where you're drawing a lot of energy from. To be with your team, to be with your clients, and to have your tribe with you. I think that's really what is making you, essentially, from my lens, the way I'm looking at it, like a resilient entrepreneur in that sense, right? Great. Any other rituals that you have, a daily ritual or something without which you're like, okay, until I do this for my mental health, I'm not going to go to sleep. Do you have something like that?
okay, it's very embarrassing. I watch a lot of, like, this, like, dog and puppy videos on Instagram and TikTok.
No, those are my favorite too.
It's good for, I am a dog person. I love
Yeah.
all animals anyway. So, like, just seeing all of this kind of stuff is like, that's funny. And I think, like, everybody has different stuff, right? I mean, I'm a singer, I'm a performer, so singing,
Yeah.
playing in bands, performing, making music,
Mm-hmm.
that works for me. When I get really angry, right, I've been told that I'm a fantastic cook. So apparently, when, like, when I'm so angry and then I start cooking, right, everybody goes like, oh, okay, we're going to eat really well today because, she somehow is fantastic at cooking. So everybody will have their different outlet.
Yeah.
One thing I wish somebody had told me in 2020, and I think a lot of people did tell me, but I didn't listen. Stuck in this entrepreneur's journey, right? You're like, no, I'm just gonna hustle. The more hours I throw in it, if I work 20-hour days, Monday to Sunday, non-stop, it's going to show, right? That's true to a certain extent. And you do need to put in that elbow grease. You do need to put in the hours. But you also got to remember, right? Like all this like Gary Vaynerchuk, Elon Musk hustle culture videos that you see, they're missing one integral point. Nobody is able, even a machine is not able, right, to keep that up, right, consistently.
It's not sustainable.
Exactly. And a good friend of mine who is one of the former heads of Ogilvy and Mather, he literally told me, he's like, how are you going to talk about sustainability when you are not even talking about personal, health sustainability? That's not possible.
Oh, true.
So that's again where figuring out what are some of the things that really help you to switch off, to bring down your BP, to just go I'm not going to look at my phone or my email or my laptop for that 1 hour, for that 2 hours. Whatever that is for you, really go and do it. Because personally, I did feel that for somebody with all of these autoimmune conditions, to push as far as I have pushed, it actually made my autoimmune conditions worse. So that's again where there's no way that you are able to bring about the health of a business if you as the leader of the business are not at that stage.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Mathilda. It's been a fantastic conversation. And I really appreciate you, everything that you do, and more power to you and your team.
Thank you very much, Dhruti. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks. I'll see you. Bye. What a powerful story. I am so glad Mathilda could be the guest on this episode. I would want to bring in Ramana, our producer. Ramana, what did you think of it?
Wow, what an amazing person. I loved listening to Mathilda's conversation, Dhruti. And I'll tell you what immediately stood out as she started speaking, right? She is fiercely passionate, fiercely grounded, and fiercely committed. For me, I feel these are co-ingredients for succeeding or for success in any business, but more so for one which is on this huge, ambitious path to creating this global impact. Right. So for an enterprise of this nature, I think it's very important for the leader at the helm to have these qualities, and Mathilda has them in heaps. That's what stood out for me, Dhruti.
Absolutely. And what moved me most was how Mathilda didn't just stop at being the victim of water pollution. She chose to fight back. And that's what I always think, we always have these choices. A lot of us would say that, oh, well, what can I do? These are the cards I've been dealt with. But, there are very few people like Mathilda who'll be like, interesting. If these are the cards I've been dealt with, this is how I'm going to play them. So, pardon my French, but she's badass. And, that's what really stood out for me. And she chose to fight back, not just for herself, but she is doing something at such a larger scale, which is going to leave a huge impact. So her creation of Ocean Purpose Project, if you ask me, is really a testament to her strength and her resilience. There you go, listeners. Another inspiring, motivating episode. If something is stopping you, operate from your circle of control and things will work out for you. Just have patience, have the grit, and be consistent in your efforts, and things will shape up, just like it did for Mathilda and the Ocean Purpose Project. So thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll be back with another episode of The Resilient Entrepreneur. Until then, take care. This is Dhruti Shah signing off. Bye-bye.